Hey ladies, yeah, you know you bad, yeah. Look, I even tried to accent the room and put a candle back there, but the only thing I can focus on is that fucking hole in the wall. So today we're gonna learn how to blend eyeshadow like a fucking pro. For starters, you need you a good blending brush. The one that I use, and you guys probably know this brush by now and probably know what it's called by heart, and that's the Morphe. You can't see the letters, but it's M576 brush, and it looks like this. And when it came, it wasn't so fluffy, but I've washed it a few times. It looked kind of more like this one. But the only difference between this one and this one is this one doesn't have as tapered of edges. Like this one's more of a pointed one, and I like this one better personally because that little point, it's easier for me to, when I take a soft hand, to just move a little bit of shadow. You want to get you a good blending brush. Either one of these will work. This is up to you. This is preference. Look at that glow. Look at that glow. I know Wet n Wild has some good ones. Like here's one from Wet n Wild, but this one is a Wet n Wild one, and I got this for $1. $1 at the Dollar Tree, okay? Like just as well as these ones. Like I have so many blending brushes, it's unreal, but like I said, it's still my favorite. If you guys have a very small brush collection and want to get more brushes, the Morphe Me Live Glam subscription box, there's a link down below. If you click on it, it'll take you straight there, and you get 3 to 8 brushes every month. I highly recommend it. This is how I get a lot of my Morphe brushes. This one is actually one I got out of there. This is one I got out of there. This one I got out of there. Like I've gotten almost all my brushes out of there. They send you other brushes too, like this big face brush, and I've got blush brushes, angled brushes, all kinds of stuff. But I'm just saying these are huge staples. So if you want to know more about brushes, go to my makeup brush thing, and some of my favorites have changed, but that is a good general idea of what you should have in your collection. I am going to use 2 palettes, and it does not matter the palette you have. I can recommend palettes all day, and the ones I do recommend are Morphe for beginners. So of course, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with my M576 brush, and I'm going to take my little Lorac palette, my Lorac Pro Matte palette. This palette is really good. Like, these are more on the expensive side. For this palette, it is $42. So I am just showing you. And the thing is the only 2 things I tell people to go high-end with is eyeshadows and foundations. Not so much foundation as I am like set on eyeshadow. Eyeshadow, if you have the money to spend, buy you a higher end palette because they just are better. Like I don't have any eyeshadows from the drugstore that I really care for. ColourPop has good eyeshadows too, and they're inexpensive. So anyway, I'm gonna take this color called Pink Mauve down here. This pink color here. Just because this one, it's pretty much mauvey colors, burgundies and stuff too, but it doesn't really have that good transition shade. Like this one's just a little too dark. It's like a darker version of this. Like I said, I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to tap in there. And you see that the bristles are coated. And now what I always do is I take my brush, and you see that, and I tap off the excess. And the thing about cheap eyeshadows is the reason why you don't want to go so cheap is because usually they're pretty chalky, they're pretty powdery, they're not buttery, they're not smooth. And on top of that, when you do that, pretty much all your pigment's going to come off. Like you're not going to have nothing on there. You want to do is start in about this general area. You want to start there. Do you see where I made that dot? What you want to do is take your brush and start taking little like round circles, a light hand. The reason why I'm holding my hand down here is because I have less control of the brush. And like that may sound like something you don't want, but it absolutely is. Like when you are setting your eyeshadow on there, you want to have like a more control to kind of place it. And I'm taking a windshield wiper motion. These are the two motions you want. Like there's other motions, quick rocking motions, round circular motions, and then the windshield wiper. Personally, I usually do the windshield wiper. And did you see I moved my hand down the brush? I didn't even realize I did it, honestly, just because I'm so used to it. I'm packing on the pigment as I go. I'm blending each layer out first because you don't want it to be focused in one spot. Once you get it to the intensity you want it, which I do want mine just a little more intense. And you see it every time I'm tapping it off. Alright, now that I get it where I want it, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to take a light hand. Let me show you. A light hand and just go over that. Like, do you see that I'm like barely touching my skin? Like you can see the bristles moving, but not like I'm just taking it lightly. And I'm just blending out the color that I've already laid down. And I'm like moving it around, moving it up, moving it, you know, just everywhere in that crease area. And see, like, I hear beauty gurus say it all the time, like, blend till your arm falls off. No joke. My arm's not gonna fall off, but my eyelid feels like it's raw. I say blend till your eye feels raw because mine do a lot. Some days, like, I get so irritated with blending that I just, like, I want to give up. But I know that it's, like, so worth it in the end. The satisfaction in the end. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, sometimes, especially depending on the color, like, bright colors, super bright colors might take a little longer to blend. And stuff that, like, stands out. Like, black is the hardest color to work with. If you ever use black, I'm not kidding you, blend, 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 because it could look patchy and horrible. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It's pretty even, and you can see up here, my lighting's horrible, but you can see up here, like, it's a gradient, like it's not like a very harsh line into my natural skin tone. And what you want to do, because I forgot to tell you in the beginning, is I know that they make eyeshadow primers, but you don't need an eyeshadow primer. Like, you do not need it. It is not 100% necessary. You can just use whatever concealer you use. So I'm just gonna take my Maybelline Instant Age Rewind concealer and apply that. Like, the only reason why I didn't show you is because I totally forgot, because I already did this step when I was doing my other makeup. But like, I just put it on there kind of sloppily, and then I take my beauty sponge and just blend it all into my eye, all the way up to your brow. And then you have your base. And then you want to take a translucent powder or a flesh tone eyeshadow. Or, like, if you're fair like me, you can always use white. So I'm going to take this Wet n Wild brush, and there's Linen here, or this color Bear. You can use either one. I'm going to use Bear. And I'm just going to set that concealer by rubbing it everywhere that I put the concealer, or blending it all over my eye. This will help the longevity of your eyeshadows, and it will help set everything so that way your base is not creasing, because the concealer will make your eyeshadows pop. It'll make them more pigmented and more bright looking and just easier to blend. But if you do not set them, it'll look creasy, it'll look cakey, and your eyeshadows will look patchy because it will just stick to the concealer, because it is a wet liquid product. So when you put it on, it will just stick to it, and then, like, it'll skip because your brush won't be able to move the product around no matter how much you blend. So you want to set it. Don't ever forget that step. Set it. See what I'm saying? Like, I did not tap off my brush, and it kind of just packed on the pigment, like, all in one spot. Like, it focused it right here. So it'll take me longer to blend that out. And then watch, if I do this, hold my hand up here, it will make it hard to blend out. So, like, I'll be here all day. And this could, if you use too much pressure, it will not allow your product to pick up. It'll just kind of push it around. and it'll make it come out patchy. Like if you look, you can already just see the difference in this one. This one looks more flawless and beautiful, and then this one's just like all packed into one spot, and like even if I packed on more, it's just gonna make it really intense, and then you're gonna have this really harsh line because you are gonna have a really hard time blending it out. You can blend this out, absolutely, but it's gonna take you A, longer, and B, if you do, make sure you hold your brush very lightly. I'm actually going to take this brush, this Morphe PK36 brush. It is another blending brush. Now I'm going to take my Lorac Unzipped palette. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take this color, and it is called Unconditional. This one right here. And I'm going to dip my brush into it. Did you see all that? That came off there, but there's still pigment on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this color, and I'm going to place it, and I'm going to lightly place it in the crease just lower than that first color. Like I can feel it rubbing on my eyelid. And I'm going to try to sweep back and forth with the same even pressure. That way, when I go to blend it out, once again, it's easier to blend. And I'm just taking those circular motions with a light hand with that first brush and blending. Those colors gradate into each other. I'm sorry my lighting's not the best, but you can see it's like skin tone, a light pink mauve color, and then like a darker pink mauve color. So it looks a little better. One tip of advice I have for you, unless you're doing like a really bold cut crease, keep the inner part right here, keep it low. Don't bring it clear up. Don't make it like even all the way across. It just doesn't look good. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is take another small fluffy brush. Yes, this is dirty, but and I'm going to go into this color, which is called Unbrighted, this burgundy shade. And I'm going to tap my brush in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to build that up on my outer V. And I'm literally going in a V shape, and I'm taking that just slightly into my crease. And if you can see it, like, see that my eyeshadow will skip because my skin is moving. That's why you got to be easy and go gently. Tap in, tap off, build. Build it up until you get the intensity you want. And you want to go halfway over, a little less than halfway over, and that's pretty good to where I want it to be. So I'm going to take my blending brush, and I'm not going to blend the outer part of my lid, but I am going to blend what I put in my crease. Taking a light hand, and I'm pointing down so I'm not moving all that up to where, like, I will do it eventually once I blend this out. You do not always have to add all these colors. You could just do 2 or 3 colors and be fine. Or honestly, you can do one and then leave your lid blank and then just throw some wing liner on and be good. But this is just for demonstration purposes, and honestly, this is how I would usually do my eyeshadow if I were to do it. I would add a couple colors and build up the intensity. And then, like, a lot of times you lose that transition shade, so what I like to do is go back into the original color that you started with, tap off, and then blend all those colors together up here. Do you see how that looks? It's like sultry and deep without being like intense. And then for the inner part, usually I would cut this with concealer. You don't have to, but the thing is like it makes it look better. But that's something because you have to get good at cutting your crease, and that's like a whole different video. So what I'm gonna do is just place the shadow on here. And actually what you can do is take a makeup wipe and just be careful to just like wipe off just the inner part of your lid and not wipe off all that shadow that you just laid down. So just the part that's supposed to be bare. See how it's not perfect, but you get the gist. See, like you can see eyeshadow on there, and this one's not so bad. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this eye first because I want to show you what it's like without wetting the brush and what it's like. Some shadows you won't have to wet the brush and some you do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this color called Unreal. This very light shimmery pink color. It's on there. You can't really tell, but... And I'm just going to swipe that on there. And with shimmers, like, you don't have to tap off the excess every time because you want this to be powerful. But then for the other eye, what I'm going to do is take this flat brush, and you always want to use a flat brush for this because I'm going to spray both sides. So now that it's wet, I'm going to take it and I'm going to dip it into that same color, and you can already see it's on there. And what I'm going to do on this side is I'm going to pat. I'm not going to swipe, I'm going to pat. And I know you can see that. I know you can. If you wet your brush with a lot of shadows, shimmers, it looks more intense. But then we have one problem. We have this very intense line. So if you could just leave it like this, but I don't like the way that looks personally. So what I'm going to do is go back in with that brush that I had that dark color on. And I'm going to tap off any excess shadow, and then I'm going to just kind of rub off some on the back of my hand. Preferably a paper towel would work, but this is just what I'm going to use. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to just lightly, barely touch my eye. And I'm going to take right there where that edge is, and I'm just going to blend those two colors back and forth together, all the way up and all the way down that line. Now it's like a good ombre dark. It gets dark to a faded color, a little bit of a lighter color into that pink shimmer. And then you got this. This just reminds me for some reason of like Neapolitan ice cream with different colors. Alright, and then we're gonna do bottom eyeshadow. This is just personally how I do my bottom eyeliner or bottom shadow. You do not have to do it with this many colors. You do not have to use the same colors as you used on your top part. This is just how I like to do it because I like to bring the whole look together. So I start with a fluffy domed brush, and I go back into that first color we used as a transition shade, tap it off, and I just like this will be the most blown out color. This will also be your lightest color. And I like to just kind of connect that to the outer one. And bring it in, and not all the way in, but pretty close to your inner corner. So like meet up with that shimmer color. And then taking that same brush, I'm going to dip into that second color we used, which is the Unconditional. And I'm going to tap it and throw it on myself. And then I'm just going to run that. And I'm not going to be so like loose with my hand on this one. I'm going to keep it more focused, like closer to my eye. And I'm just going to run a light layer from right about here all the way up to connect those colors. And then for the next part, you want to get you a very small brush, which I like to use like this, it's like the same thing but a lot smaller than I was just using. And I go back into the darkest shade that I used, and which is this one, Unbrighted. I dip it, and then I tap. And then what I do with this one is I take it very close to my waterline, right there where my lashes are, and I just run it there. Like I said, you can always dip in again. And I don't take this one as far over. I stop like right here about where my lashes stop. But this is all preference, how far in you take it and how blown out it is. And it all blends together and all looks like it's placed where it should be placed. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to throw on some lashes and liner and stuff and finish my eyes. And then I will be right back to show you what the difference really makes, okay? So, alright guys, so I am back, and what I did is I took my L'Oreal Silkissimi eyeliner and I put it on the top tight line and my waterline, and then on top of that I got halfway through doing my eyeliner and I was gonna put eyelashes on, and I thought to myself, not everybody wears eyelashes, and actually a lot more people don't than do. They just wear mascara. So for the purposes of this, I just wore mascara. With the blending and the tapping, you are going to avoid fallout. You are going to make your eyeshadows look seamless. They're going to blend into each other a lot smoother, and it's just going to have this gradient ombre effect, if you will, and it's just going to make your eyes look more flawless, and it honestly, it's just going to look like you know what you're doing, plain and simple. Even if you have no idea what you're doing with makeup, practice. Like, that's all I can say. I've told a lot of my friends that I used to come home from work and practice what I was doing, and I'm completely self-taught, so just know that. And another tip of advice, eyeshadow shields, or even just get you some scotch tape. Get you some scotch tape and take it and place the tape right here, like underneath your eyelashes, to the end of your eyebrow, so in this form, to put your eyeshadows on. But with that, I hope that you guys learned something. I hope that this video helps, and I hope that you guys can take these tricks and learn something from them and just practice. That's all I can say. But with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!